everybody who is joining us today. Dumelang sanbonani thokozani, khanya lesedi. Greetings over the diaspora to those that don't speak the languages that we speak. Eita hola tubapantola rona akonshasi, and greetings to everybody here over the diaspora. Today we have a Sacred Connections live episode with a gogo. Khosigadi, Marikiko. Khosigadi Tsholofelo Moagi. Who's going to be taking us down our series, plural relationships, plural marriage, or from her perspective is polygamy, but we're going to throw in some spanner in the works a little bit today so that she can expand for us in other types of multiple relationships. We have Gopano King here who says Togoza Gogo, Togoza Pano. Thank you so much for tuning in. Khosigadi, I must say you look absolutely amazing, and we see you're dressed up for Osset today, so that is why we're both in maroon. And yes, welcome to our platform yet again. Releboga your knowledge, your time, your energy, and I'm gonna try to not laugh too much today. Okay, good. When I look at myself, yeah, I cringe at the laughing I do.
Okay, no laughter for today.
Welcome, Goyi. For those who are joining us for the very first time, can you please tell them who you are? What is it that you do? What is your brand? Otamali Bomang. Yeah, to those who are joining us for the very first time.
Okay, dumelang re a lo chisha you are le mo kind of the diaspora, so I must speak. Okay, my name is Tsholofelo Moagi, and I am an advocate and an ambassador for plural marriages, known to many as polygamy.
Pindi also just joined us. Oritorazani, pretty ladies. Togoza Gogo, thank you so much
Sorry.
for being here. Can you hear us, Gogi?
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Barre Torazani, pretty ladies. That is Pindi, who's always here. So much. If you'll allow me, can I just share the link that we're live now for people who would have liked to join this conversation?
Right.
Yeah, because I think it's a very important one. Because people, they ask me questions when I'm done, and now I'm not an advocate of such, but I think the way Gogo explains it and the way Gogo takes it down, a lot of my friends have gravitated towards the idea about the concept of a lifestyle. I forgot what she said.
Of a moment, right? That
Okay, I'm just gonna post quickly to say that we're live. Please share links. Especially for those who are considering these plural marriages, especially the kings as well, so that we correct one little thing. We know how polygamy or plural relations in the heterosexual space has been displayed in a very patriarchal manner. But Gogo is going to take us down to say, actually, no, it's not even about the kings themselves, and what is it about exactly?
for people to completely, I need to emphasize this every time, to move away from it being something that is physical. Everybody always gravitates there. That is the last. If we are gravitating to going back to being, grounded in our spirit beings, we should be understanding that at this point, we are not actually carnal things are the last. That's the last thing you should be concerned. Should be concerning yourself about. And if you're going to engage with anybody, you should be engaging them at spirit level first before you even try anything else. Thanks.
But thank you, Cody, for that one, for the correction and the steering in that direction. But recent years, I heard something interesting. It's a saying I've heard before. But Hatui millenniazi makhosikazi ukuthi indoda yomZulu ayimi ngenyawo eliyedwa. Yes, that's how they say it. Yeah. So what is your understanding of that? Okay, there are such sayings where I know as a Zulu, it's natural for me, and you hear in especially in the conscious space as well, it's unnatural for a man to just have one wife, and it's yeah, to perpetuate, I guess, the concept of stepping out of monogamous relations. So what's your take on that, Gogi?
Just 1 second, Gogi. I got some message that they're not hearing us. The link, I don't know, is doing what. Are we okay?
Okay, let me reshare. Okay, you can't hear. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm just gonna reshare Gogi for you. Are they able to join or?
Well, they're saying they can't hear. So, okay, Pindile says she can hear, so I'm
Yeah,
not
okay,
sure.
maybe let me give you the link for the people to join. Okay, I'm gonna retype it.
So I must copy and
Okay.
send.
Yeah.
Gogi, you know how you're going to be confusing me with.
The one I just said now, you can forward that one. Maybe it's the feedback for you. Welcome to those who've just joined us now. We are talking plural marriages, polygamy, plural relations.
All right, that works.
Okay, hopefully it does work. Yes, Kogi. So I was asking God the saints, what's your take on that, on such things, and how you'd find your friends, how about Totela, Asia, but it's not natural, I need more than one. Is it a need? Is it a biological need? What need is this?
Well, sometimes it's sad because it's trivialized, right? And again, taken down to physicality more than anything. And I've said this before to say when purpose is not clearly defined in anything, then misuse and abuse is inevitable. So when we go and trivialize something so sacred and say, I need really one because, you know, that for me just lets me know where the person's thinking is at. So I don't entertain really, because people who really understand that it's a calling, understand that there must be a purpose, right? I think the last time we touched on the fact that it will be told to yourself as the wife or the husband in a dream to say this is what's required for the lineage. Remember, when you get married, Gogi, it's not about the lovers. We keep thinking it's about the two. No, it's not. It is you're getting married into bomwari. So you have a responsibility to bomwari. Yes, they happen to have brought you through ka tepu, so to speak, but the bigger is for the lineage. So when somebody speaks like that, it's almost as if they're saying this is supposed to come and serve them. Where even in monogamy, you're not even just serving him. So you can imagine in a plural space, and I've said this before, that for a plural, we need a man with a vision, right? A vision big enough to house queens of that caliber, because you're bringing in two masterminds that are coming in to carry this vision that you're saying you have been given by your ancestors to take this family to the next level. So when it's like that, I don't respond really to the one leg thing, because I just feel okay, that person is still in flesh mode, so not much to entertain there.
No, Thobela Puku. Gogo Matlodi just joined us now. Ore Thobela Moshate, the Khoshigadi. Thobela
All right.
Gogi, thank you so much for joining us. Re Khoshigadi ya ga Moagi. Kajeko le Bosathege. Kajeko is speaking on plural marriages. Gogi, this one came up a lot, so I don't know if it's something that's in your scope of work, because I know you do healing work in this space in terms of plural marriages. So it's a question that came up a lot, and I think how to work plural relations. Maybe if it's in your scope things that you know. Can you take us down, especially in this day, in this time and day, right? We have things like polyamory, we have polygamy that we're familiar with. Even in a religious spaces, again, we know the Shemberites, we know Hamudise, we know the Mormons are practicing it. So, but that's gonna be my next question. I just want us to deal with this one first. So Khosi Khaji wa ko Botswana was asking Hore, can you touch on polyamory? And then for me, from my end, can you speak on polygyny, polygamy, and what's another poly we're missing? Yeah, another poly that you might be familiar with. So if it's in your scope, go.
Now,
You can.
if I'm correct, polyamory is two women. One woman, multiple men. Is that correct?
That's
Polyamory.
polygyny.
And then the other
Yeah,
one,
no, that's yes. That's polyandry. Sorry, that's polyandry.
polyandry. That
Yes.
one, that one, Ndlovukazi, that one is a tricky one. It's a tricky one because social media and obviously a lot of people that are trying to, a lot of people are trying to reverse engineer this thing and come up with creative things and whatever. There's certain things that just we can't be creative about in these spaces. And one of them is that one. So that one had only existed for women ba bohosi. Because when you were coming from bohosi, you could not take like surname of a husband because you are needing to sit ko bohosing where you come from. Case in point, I think we did this on this last time, if I'm correct, Queen Mojaji. You cannot be Queen Mojaji wa ga Selemela. No. So in that case, because they cannot actually give you a husband, so to speak, there, bo kuku, again, to see that these things are always orchestrated by the feminine, healthy feminine energy, because they are understanding certain impacts to certain spaces. So they would make sure that they identify certain males that need to come and reproduce with you. But these males, it's almost because Kale, there was no signing of NDAs or secret things. It was almost a death, commitment that you were making, because you can never ever say that you slept with the queen and now she's pregnant one now, because they knew she needs to reproduce, but it can't be a willy-nilly tanda type of environment. It can't. They needed to orchestrate it. And I guess there were certain elements that they were looking into, even to where they were going to find these male counterparts to come and reproduce le kgosigadi. So that one exists for that, not this thing of today when women are saying, well, if he can, I should, because I also have the same sexual appetite, because no, it was not because of that at all. So again, Koki, you will realize that I don't know what's wrong with our society. My gosh, everything, almost everything is sexualized. There must be sex somewhere, sex every time. It is not the base. It's a byproduct. It's an addition to. It is not the main primary. It's not.
100% Kogi.
The other one is Po.
So there's polyamory. This one happens. Yeah, I think you just touched on it right now. Hore. Yeah, because that one inally connotation. So polyamory. The amory poly we know is many, as Gogo has taken us down, but the amory part means love. So multiple lovers, but there's consent
Yes.
with yeah.
Again, as I've just said, it's the sexual thing again. What? And also understanding the fact that we are joining spirits. So I would then have to ask, for what purpose? So we are here, we are monogamous, let's say, and we say we're going to have other lovers. For what? what is the benefit? What are we trying to do? We must leave this notion of always trying to do things just because I feel
Yeah.
we've bred a society, because I can, I'm going to. So no,
Yeah.
come and try and
Yeah.
tell.
I
No,
think when Gogi, it's also like I think we've marred the concept ayona intimacy, because like it's a spell number one. It's like ke portal e nngwe I
no,
think maybe we shouldn't even be engaging in. I think the better question is why do you have such animalistic desires to be everywhere, humping everything and everybody, what are
without
you not addressing? All right.
ex- exactly.
Yeah.
And when you speak of animal, Gogi, well, really Batoransu, as Black people, we do have animalistic, I would say, tendencies or maybe characteristics, because as you've said, or I've said, re batlo. So I will carry some animal doton of an elephant, because that's the clan I come from. I come from the Cabo, I'll have elements of that. So we do, but because Rona, we are operating with spiritual, frequency and knowledge, we need to be aligning ourselves and making sure that we're doing things with purpose. Because if that's the case, you're going to love everybody. If I've connected with someone, sure, this is the person, when I spoke to this person, I'll, I'm also going to tomorrow and then what do we do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
No,
think it will
100.
actually feed GBV, actually, because there's no purpose why this person is here except for them to fulfill your sexual desires.
Desires. Okay, good. Uh, thank you for that. I think in the works that are done in spirit space, Sabo, I think it's another thing we need to address because also people looking outside, looking at us as a people, association, these sexually uh, orientated people, we always humping, whether it's our dance moves or whatever it is, but we always operating on that. And I think it got twisted some way. So we're hoping in the works that we're doing, we're addressing le tabe, so how sacred that practice that practice is, but not to say, not to say that there's nothing pleasurable about it. I'm just saying,
Oh,
hore.
but also know that we cannot run everything on pleasure.
100%,
We can't,
100%, 100%.
right? So
Yeah,
if we're going to drive, sorry, I didn't get that.
even your parents would ask you, "Hore, o batla life ya di-party? Monate fela, monate ha o
Monate
fele."
ha o okay,
So thank
yes.
you for that, Gugi. I touched on the religion part of it, and I want to ask because from the angle that you're coming from, and I think for the space that we are existing on, re buile ka badimo a lot, re buile of spirits and lineage and all of that. But we see, okay, Bo Shembe will, I'll not group them in this, but they're also a religious sector, for example. They practice the practice, but ke religion ya Sintu. Yeah, ningang shy, but baka Shembe ne. But religion ya enangli Sintu. Yeah, one of the churches where the Witchcraft Act also had an effect on them and they had to go into such a route, right? But we know, or not that we know, those who have encountered Batubashembe, we know hore ba practice isintu, although I feel it's a patriarchal sintu, but ningang shine. Um, but in terms of woman moments, in terms of let's say now, I think I asked this the last time. I'm already married, I'm already married as a person. And now, and Runare, we praise the Lord, we serve the Lord, and this whole polygamy thing comes. How is this navigated in a religious space? Because yeah, I don't know how to tap back into religion. Let me say that. So Kogi, I think you're also like me, you've experienced religion and spirituality. So how does it work in that sense? Because the moment girls are not happy, but they're not happy, we've never as Boshembe rights, but we know Batsubaha Mudise as well. You know, I went to high school with somebody who can Mudise, and she was already groomed for that lifestyle, if us to call it a lifestyle, you know. So how's it performed in a religious setting? Ungenwazi, is it a thing? Like, how does it work in religion?
I'm not going to go intensely in there because I would be lying. I don't know if they go in knowing, but I would think that if you are in a religious setting or a religious upbringing, there's certain things that you grow up knowing that they are cast in stone or they're inevitable. Either way, it's going to happen. You know, so because I'm not knowledgeable in the Shemba space or the Muslim whatever space that they would carry out such. But I do know that, you know, it is discussed in families to say Mgomezulu will be taking Shabalala's child, and then it's decided, and then on the day you go. Yeah, I think it's got its own nuances. I don't want to comment on them because I don't know them. It would be better maybe if we engage somebody who's in that space. But yes, sometimes it is troublesome to think of it at Dabata, the age thing, when it's like a really older guy and a young girl. You know, you're now asking yourself, is there consent? Is this now put onto this girl? And now, because of religion and culture, now they have to succumb to it. I don't know. But yeah, those are the things that we're faced with in that space. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd really like to hear input, yeah, the Janes actually on this one. You know, as you're speaking, how did the whole age thing, right? I already thought of that other country, the country within our country, right? Where the whole maiden situation happens, which is my next ask. Like, I feel the concept that you believe in, the life, I say lifestyle, we take lifestyle, we take
So
bophelo
it's,
bophelo bo o ikgethelang bone ne, that
yeah,
life. This life that you that
yes.
you I feel, Gogi, it's rooted honestly in patriarchy, right? In the serving of patriarchy, because I don't know how these fathers feel about their daughters going into the same system, or is it kunjalo vele, because I feel, I don't know, as a mom, when personally me as a mom, if you had daughters, eh, and yeah, you're a polygamous believer, for you, what do you feel is the right age? Yeah, I don't think there's right and wrong, but personally, as somebody who practices the practice, what do you feel is an okay age to engage in such?
For starters, Gogi, let's also address the fact that Dala, that's why you'd be married at, or maybe baya vela, or ka Setswana gate go thibiwa kgoro at around 18, and probably the marriage then happens at around 21, if I'm really to put age to it. There was a reason for those things, and they were more biological even than any other thing, because you're a woman, I am, and we understand that your eggs are a little, not a little, very, very fertile and solid and good to give good produce at a certain age. There's a certain time when now it's touch and go, right? That's just facts, right? Without us trying to over intellectualize the different methods that are being used to conceive and so forth. That's just what it was based on. Almost like saying we're going to reproduce with at our peak, right? Almost producing cream of the crop, not having to worry about any mishaps that might come forth because of, let for example, age, right? So it was based on that. But because Nokulo Tibiwa Koro, it would be people who are almost age, not age mates as in same age, but I'm sure 5, 10 year gap max. Yeah, when it gets to the extended age of like 18, 20 years, 25 years, I get worried. And I can't comment on that because I don't know. And also because being a spirit being, right? I'm understanding that there are individuals that we engage with. And because, as we say, gogo, mkulu, we are saying you are existing in this biological form, but you are way ahead of your time. So I don't want us to use spirit when it suits us, and then when it doesn't, then we are taking, right? So there are individuals who are just like they're, I don't know if I should keep words were mature or bona ba fitlhe vele ba ke bo ntate ngwana ke bo mme ngwana. They just arrive and they're just in the wrong bodysuit, I guess, but they're way ahead. So sometimes, and I will say this sometimes, because I'm sure there's a many factors that would need to be considered in that space for one to make a decision at that level.
No, Togoza, Coco, Togoza. I think I'm a bit more controversial on that. Yeah, I wish the James were actually here because I want to ask, like, is it letaba dintanga tsa lona? Is it a ntanga ya ka never ang arabise, ntanga ya ka tlong arabisa? But I feel there's a lot of dynamics that go
So give us
into.
an example of age where you're saying maybe intanga uzok arabisa or what. Give us an example, maybe.
I would say an 18-year-old woman dating a 50-year-old man. It's legal, yeah, sure, according to the laws, the country, whatever. But
Apparent.
morally, like, is that okay though? Because now I haven't come into, as an 18-year-old, I haven't come fully into myself. I don't even know what it is I like. I don't even know how to relate to adults who are not my parents, but I need to be in an intimate space with them in that manner. Like,
I
yeah,
hear
for
you.
me, it just poses a, I feel as the older person, you should do better. Like I feel like bakote, like in a way, is it because I lebate mosadi oling, we see it with the show Dlalang, where eh, the wives that are closer in age to the gentleman, there's things that they can vocalize, whereas the younger wives, hunale, how baba tact kind of thing to it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Gogi. I don't know.
That one is
Um,
difficult, Gogi. That one is difficult because, as you say, wish the gents were here to respond and say, are they comfortable? Being a 50-year-old and engaging at a sexual level with an 18-year-old. Are they comfortable? Right?
ne-
Also, it would also let us know what type of man we're also talking about. And yes, you are probably touching on something that is also something that we'll need to address at some point. That sometimes, or most of the time, we're getting a lot of divorces around people who are 40s, especially women, because, as you say, having come into self, knowing thyself, you start expressing yourself in a certain way. And men that are not grounded in self and knowing themselves tend to find that a bit rough, to say, oh, for a couple of 15, 20 years, I didn't hear you raising those opinions. Where do they come from? And not understanding or not giving room to the fact that as an individual, you evolve. It is ludicrous, Gogi. It's borderline like butlanya, insanity for someone to want the woman they married at 25 to exist when you are 45. I don't know how that would have happened. Did they freeze you in time, or what would have happened? But as just like in anybody, even women, there are women who will say he's changed, and you're like, but he was supposed to change. I'm not saying change
you
for
supposed.
earth, right, and start doing things that just have no building for this family. But I'm saying as an individual, It's just nature. You're going to change. You're going to evolve because you are learning about self at every era, every corner of your life.
No, Tokoza go Kotoza. We have a comment from Pindi. I think that's a little my point. Where Barry women mature faster. Yeah, so I feel that line as well. I feel women bashan peeling more. But what's the thing? I just feel it's also another portal, yeah,
Mm.
perpetuating, taking advantage of youngins. Ne? And I'm not even saying hore, all the women don't do this, or non-heterosexual women don't do this, or in different spheres. But I think we need to, yeah, look at these dynamics. Like I wish I had the chance to ask Wuti, like "Usabintanga yakho na," or whatever it is, in all directions. What is like, why do you not engage with people your own age? Because like I cannot imagine, like if I'm with teenagers, like it's what I nerves. So I cannot imagine being in an intimate space, like the experiences that each one, are you grooming a person into what you want them to be, and then eba you've changed or you're rebelling against the system I have set in place. But anyway, we'll ask the gents, and hopefully maybe they'll catch it, even if it's 2 years from now. Maybe I'll also have a different opinion, a different opinion on that. But another thing I think Gogia Tantingri look at into Yona as well, that also leader juices from the male counterpart do not keep the equality also with age and all of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, yes, please do touch on that. Definitely. Even the sperm quality, right, of a man is actually at its peak, from his 20s. If I'm correct, I'm not a doctor, but I think it's around until my 35, maybe max 40, I think. But the peak is in their 20s. So with I'm not going to say civilization, because no, with socialization
And
and
technology. Yeah.
technology, you know things then evolved, and I don't think to our betterment, no,
Yeah.
because we're finding that we're now having women that are finding it very difficult, Gogi, right now, to
Mm.
now have children, because they're now late 30s, early 40s, sometimes middle 40s, because socialization said, get the bag, chase that bag until you're comfortable, and then we start. And when you start, it's not starting. Now there's
Yeah.
problems.
I think on that, greetings, Wanda M. He just joined us now. I think it's a guy. Would really like your inputs, Kesha. Neribaka, polygamy, plural marriages, plural relationships. Yeah, many relationship situations. I know Nonkomanya the other day, so to lose my older sister, so that's why there's a bit of comfortability. But she's my older sister, so she's bothered, Hore, like I don't want children, I don't, but a friend of mine was sharing Guti. Also, the lifestyle ya rona does not allow us, and that's why like fertility becomes a bit more challenging in
Mm.
your 40s. But apparently, back in the day, even in the 40s, people would still be giving birth, yeah, without challenges. So I think like the food that we're eating as well is probably
Let's just be frank.
Gogi.
They were not like overly intoxicating themselves. So
Hundred
they're
percent.
at their peak in health form, right?
100% Gogi, 100%. Um, I wanted to comment. Oh yes, I'm saying yeah. So I always answer the question if they're asking me, "Are you a feminist or whatnot?" I say yes or no, right? So because I understand Hore, like historically how it started and whatnot. But for me, it's if the men who are complaining about the feminazis are complaining about women being feminists and whatnot and whatnot, but
Mhm.
want to benefit from the very same system that's producing these very same people. Fella, feminists are developed by the system, yeah, the whole patriarchy thing, women wanting to do better for themselves is created by this thing of how we are interacting with each other, as different genders. Afosana that siyabuilda and sahloniphana and all of that. Like there's the I want a one up over you, which brings me to my next question. Kere, Gogibari can make a good mom Kulu. I do agree, she does. She's an amazing she is yeah, advocate of such. But yeah, go busy blind. So polygamy works for her because she's very busy. But what I wanted to ask, what that whole religious thing, right, which is also birthed by colonization. Patriarchy is birthed by colonization, right? Where, oh my gosh, sorry, a cat. So with that, Gogi, you get statements that men is the house of the household and all of that. But when you go behind the scenes, even in monogamous relations, right? When you go behind the scenes, bomme ke bona ba tshwereng malapa, whether from Tsholo days up until marriage, the man would be given the card so that the image is man of the house. What is man of the house? And for me, I feel it's another religious thing, it's another patriarchal thing, it's another colonization thing. So what is a how do we deal with that? Say awuhloniphi njengendoda. Like indoda
already
ehlonitshwa kanjani, umfazi uhlonitshwa kanjani? Like is the
already
hlonipho for umfazi a bit lower? Like
already when you're touching on feminism, you're already in the colonial space. So I tend not to engage there because there's just a whole lot of drama there. But when we are talking about that part of the man is the head, you are right. You are indeed correct. That was brought on by the colonials because Rona, by virtue of existence, women women in their natural state were they were revered, like bebahlonitshwa ngale ndlela because they understood their spiritual frequency to say it's so high. So it's not people that must be angered or baphathwe kabi or bayenzeni. So we understood that until our men were indoctrinated, right, by this colonial system to say you're the head and then you are the head, and sometimes you don't even understand what he's heading. But you're right. Motse wa ga ke mosadi, ikhaya lakhiwa umama, and ikhaya lima ngomama, but umama ohluzekile la. So it must be women that are very solid in their foundation and understanding what their role and impact is in that space. Because you're not going to want that title and be a minister without portfolio. Because there are women that are just there and wanting to be respected and treated at queenship level, and yet your behavior is none, like it's not even close. And for me, when a man has to ask for respect, it's already a problem. Respect comes naturally. A man evokes it naturally in me when he acts like a man, right? When he is in his healthy masculinity, the respect is just inevitable from me because I'm not fighting anything. But when he is not in his healthy masculinity and wants to now exert the energy, yoguti, and on top of that, you don't respect me. Anyone actually who comes for counseling and the first cry or the first complaint is that their wives don't respect them, I'm usually on the tip of, I don't think there's anything there. Remember, you cannot build respect. It's not something you can teach someone. It's not something we can say, let's give it 6 months and do 5 steps and let's see. No. It's either it is there or it is not. And remember, for women are people of wisdom. So, ukuthi ulogo uthi
Oset.
mudimu me. For
Mudimu
us
me.
to be addressing a man with the likes of Ubaba, and that is us also, it's endearing to them, and it's also revering them in their position. And also in that, I'm teaching the offspring to say, who is this and how should he be treated? Because he also is treating me in a manner that is affording me this for me to treat him in this way.
Oh, wow, Thobela Moshate. I think there's something else I wanted to ask on that stable men of the house and whatnot and whatnot. But Gogi, I think you did, we spoke a little bit Queen Mujajine and Balobedu we know you will tell your stories properly and all of that. But back on the colonial and patriarchy, and to those who are watching, to not senior Gogi's episode, can we connect after? I think we need to address this feminism situation, yeah, because my sister and I don't agree on a lot of things, um, so yeah, I don't want to mess up this episode. We don't want to make it about that, but those who are able to, can we hop onto a live after this one? Yeah, we'll talk the season first, and then maybe we'll address the feminism and whatnot situation. Gogika, speaking on mosadi ke ena o agang lapa and whatnot. So is that why, and is it right, Hore, the failure of marriage, you know, or if you want to step out of the poly or plural marriage situation, it's based solely on you as a woman. You know, we know, like, even in society, if you're unable to give birth, you're unable to, if you come back from a divorce, you know, like, women are literally scared to go back home, you know, but you get their fathers who say, hora, you know, whatever it is. But why is it blamed solely on the woman, the failure of a union like that?
I'm going to say blame is a strong word, but I do understand where you're going with that. But also, and this is in hindsight, right? Because in the book that I'm busy with, the wife equals the strategist.
Get copies.
I've learned, I have come to learn, right, through experience, whether sadly or not, right? This is where we are. That as a woman, it is important for you to come on board having done a thorough due diligence on where you are going. Because remember, the man bringing you into his kingdom needs to tell you what is the vision of where you are going. And this is for what purpose? For you to check if you have the tools, the apparatus to deal with this vision. And it should be okay for you as a woman to check a man's vision out, go in your corner, somewhere in your corner of prayer, whatever you call it, and check with your people. Are we equipped for this family? Can we go there? Because if you're not going to be truthful to self, that's where you're going to face the failure. Because either you are too qualified, there are people who are too qualified for positions, and there are people who are underqualified, right? So you need to check that. So because we did not have this information prior, this is where we found ourselves. But we're going to make sure that people going forward should be people who are very well informed so that they're making informed decisions of where they are going. Because if you're not going to be able to cause for that lineage to have compounded interest in whatever that is facing them, ma'am, I don't think that's your space. And that is why we look at Mosadi, because Mosadi that has incubated this vision and now needs to strategize as to what needs to be done. And that is why, and I'm not saying this is the only way, that is why it is wiser for a woman to be the one choosing umamncane, because she has checked what is needed and is realizing the caliber and the criteria required to bring in somebody else. But also, I need to go back on this because you're quick to respond to that because you're thinking, oh, at least it's not going to be patriarchy. No.
But you know.
But on the other effect, Goki, is There's a man that asked me this and he caught me off guard. And it's not very many men that can catch me off guard. And I'm like, what did you say? But he asked me this question and I was like, okay, all right, I need to think about that. He said to me, I don't fully understand why uma umamkhulu ungathembi ukuthi ngingaletha umuntu ozowakha nathi asebenzisane nathi. The quality, I don't understand why you would question it. Because if you're questioning that, then you should be questioning you. Did I bring in the right person with you? I was like, he went there. But it is a fair question. If he brought in the right person with you being the mamkulu firsthand, why wouldn't we trust him to do the same again? I'm just asking.
To answer that, I think goes back to the thing that you were saying earlier on, Hore, we've seen in this space of yours. Well, we've seen in relational spaces, the khaleling is more on top versus, so I'm of the group of a
Okay.
Mamkulu. Mamkulu being the chooser, because I feel, which is she not the one who feels, oh my gosh, I'm doing too much. There's the child, there's the fields, there's the what, or I don't want to give birth to 20 children, for example. I'm gonna read comments for now. Wonder M Oraskis, the minute you started addressing my question, connection dropped, but he'll catch up. But Ketla, we speaking plural relations. I see a comment that's next, multi relationships, polygamy, polyamory, polyandry. Okay, not so much polyamory because it is very cloth based. But sorry for the polyamorous people, ne? Sorry, ningang shy. Muki Patela Ore, multi relationships are structures that exist, but the moment you take away the choice to participate, it becomes problematic. It's our parents that have raised us to make our own decisions and not end up where they were. As much as things were done back in that day, they were not always nice. So we can't just follow the past blindly, which is, thank you. You type like in Rogazi, so I'll say go. But thank you, my queen, for that comment, which is the question I'm trying to ask in terms of a culture and religion, because I think the one thing that we like to do as a people in the workspaces, black consciousness, and yes, as Vugile, and yeah, back to Isintu, is we always fetch Sintu where it starts at the patriarchy. What about before that? What about the matriarchy or the matrilineality or whatever other system that existed? Why do we always fetch history where it benefits the ill treatment of our queens? So that is my two. Pardon?
Can I come in there? I guess it happens like that, Gogi, because I don't feel women are even ready to even embody that type of power that is from way back then. First of all, we don't even understand it. We don't understand it. And in the not understanding, I don't even think it's going to be utilized correctly, right? Because it's not, the minute you're in you get into the mode of, I'm going to have to show as umama, yes, in this matriarchy space. This is how, there's no need for that. The healthy feminine energy has so much power that it does not even need to announce itself. It's in how it will do things. It is how it will articulate things that a lot will then be recognized to say, sure, lawyer mom, lawyer cook. So you don't need to be announcing or letting people know it was from a matriarchy point of view. No. How you will carry yourself, it will be known.
So was a coco. But I do highly have a problem there Isintu sitini, because Isintu is based honestly on the serving of the one over the other. For me, in my experiences so far, get on I like the things that I was saying earlier on. Last time you touched on Gogi, the aspect of the wealth, right? So there is a Nguni saying, ering ubuhle bendoda inkomo zayo. So maybe can we correct that saying, perhaps to know what it actually means, or the way we understand it, right? Because we have associated cows to mean well, but yeah, Gogi, with Gogi's combos and I, she has shared that it's not actually about the money. so maybe Gogi can take us down that one.
That one I was actually taught by another Ndlovukazi. I did not have this information firsthand. And I've come to understand in those conversations that when they were saying that, it was maybe a father that would give a umfana wakhe a cow to take care of, right? And he would take care of that cow, take care of the cow, make sure that it goes to graze, make sure it comes back, make sure. So ensuring certain aspects of the caring and also knowing when to take it to the other cows to reproduce. So, speaking of the multiplication of it or the producing. So, in this space, you would be seen by young girls who are obviously coming of age to say, wow, he knows how to. If he knows how to take care of that, this would be not that it would be a walk in the park for him to build a home with, but it would be something he is solid in. So this is where it came from. So in seeing how he pattered the Nkomo, you would then realize how he would patter you. You'll see also in language, in our language, that is why Nkomo Nkomo.
I'm
But
on that tip,
conversation
actually.
conversation for another day. So if he's able to, then chances are. So if we're to, and I hate to say modernize, right? But I would say for me, where we are, because we're not emakaya, some of us, it would mean, how a man would be able to take care of, in my world, his mom, because remember, when he's not married, he's still taking care of home. How does he relate to his mom, right? How does he relate to his home? Does he feel the need of taking care? Does he know how to? Does he know what it means? And how does it make him feel? Right. So those are the things that I would be monitoring in the courting stage to recognize, is this somebody that actually can? And maybe from there, I'm not saying this is, if maybe from there, if we were to take time to look at how a man rolls in that space. There are some men who are able to, he's taking care, mawake, mamngani, cousin Tonton. It would be clear at that point ukuthi lo baba lo awubakithi isithembu awubala nje kuye bala. It ain't.
Aleboga, Gogi. I think we're gonna get to the end. About 5 minutes left. I know you're a busy lady. I want to ask on the Sotu clan of things, right? Because I think a lot of experiences, well, for myself personally, in spiritual spaces, and Isithembu is always from a Nguni point of view. We are trying to go back a little bit and learn our own language. Yeah, it's so sad. Ke shebile melaneng ya rona and re bua Sekgowa. So sad. We'll get there though. We'll get there. We shall resume our Setswana lessons and everything, because yeah, we need to step away from this language of vibrating snacks. But Gogi, how does marriage in the Sotho groups, Sotho, Tswana, Pedi, How does that happen? Because I know in the Nguni people, they keep their maiden surnames. The Ethiopians keep their maiden surnames. So in Sesotho or Basotho, like what does that procedure look like? And I know in some families get given a name, Yako Linyalo, right? So for the indulgence of us who are not Nguni, how does that work? How does marriage work in that on that front?
You know, Gogi, on that one, I'm going to ride on the space Sahori. We were all just one, right? Until there were these other
Limbies.
separations and right. We were all just one. So for me, what I've made sense of is that in the separation of us, that is why a bit is there, a bit is here, a bit is there. And as we're formulating every other, right? Not that every other person is not important. And for me, I've gotten into a space where I don't think anybody is more than anyone. So I don't feel, Bonguni, yeah, they're more of this than we are. No. For me, if it is culture, and you will recognize that even when you start delving deep into finding out certain things, there's similarities that are so solid that you're like, oh, no, 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 no. It means like we're all just one. Either others added or others found a better understanding, or that was the core. But what I'm going to say is the reason why Amanguni keep your maiden, you will be called Mamwahi Wagwa Shabalal. Why? Because in those spaces, they are recognizing that they have called upon you with your people. So you're coming with already knowledge of your people to come and help them build further from where they are, which I loved completely because it meant you don't even lose self. You never forget yourself. You're not coming to implement, because that you cannot. You can't implement what you're coming from, but you're coming with certain wisdom that will allow you to operate in that space. And now we give them, because we don't all know everything. That is why you're coming in, because you're coming in with a certain knowledge to help others get to the next level. And I think your other question was the surname and
um yeah, get in my experience, people get given, okay, not mine,
oh yes, yes, you're
people get
right.
given.
You're right. You're right. And I guess I'm just going to speak of myself because an example of anybody else, but let where I came from when I in my previous marriage, I was named Ngobile. So you are given a name for me of something that they've already seen. There's a trait that they've seen in you. There's certain things there's certain characteristics that you've already displayed that are informing the name, to my understanding. So that's where it comes from.
No, Tabela Kogi. Ke kopa go fa homework to find out if we also stable mamuahi na. Um, yeah, especially I think before the inter. Okay, before I get married, but before the intermarriage, I know with my people we like marrying into the Zulus for some reason, you know. And I know Mazula rata
Just
botsana hore, "Wa kwa bani," you know, and it's not the Flaminis, Kumetes or whatever. So go ikopa for homework to find out hore Basotho was it the same thing? Ke mamuahi na still. Am I dressed as Mamuahi even in the multiple relation situation? But Gogi, I don't know. Oh yeah, I wanna ask this one because I think the last question I had, yeah, offspring. I wanna leave it for the next episode that we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be speaking about children, right? Children of polygamy, a non production of children in that sense, you know. And back, I'm sure I'm gonna touch on Isithembu again and patriarchy again. But I want to ask, why? Because if a man can't, like, if in a marriage there's no children, it's always the woman's fault kind of situation, you know. But anyway, we'll get to that. But yeah, that'll be our episode 3. We're gonna speak of plural marriages
And
and children. Yeah. But with this one that I wanna ask was, when does marriage start? Ne? When does marriage start? Especially with the gents that ask you the question, yeah, but why do you not trust me to choose the right person? Right? I chose you as Mamkulu as the right person. Why do you not trust me to choose Umamngani as well? So I wanna ask, in terms of that, Hore, Ekalanning situation A, do you ask permission to sexually engage from the first wife? Do you just do it and hope, you know? And then the very last one I want to ask, Hore, in general marriage, how does marriage survive the scar of cheating or infidelity? Infidelity makes it sound so fancy. Cheating.
no. Thing is fancy. Ubufebe is
There,
what you're trying
yeah. Tsholo
go to. Yeah, but
yeah. So when
mm,
what makes it is the marriage happening when sekgontshitswe dikgomo? Because like I'm saying, in my experiences, there's the courtship that happens. You know, there's the test driving of the things that you are anti. You know, don't engage in that way first. Like rather build something first. So can you take us down that? Hore, is it okay? Because I feel a lot of monogamously married women, heterosexual women, were sort of got to a point where they have to accept who, right, akafunukeka lo muntu lona, so might as well make it a poly situation. So yeah, why, how does that happen? And I think, yeah, a lot of women that you have rescued as well, or my personal people, it's a, yeah, man, maybe if I had been more open to this, you know, because obviously Motusepi is the monogamy, and then they get their cows in order, and then it's no, I'm a polygamist all of a sudden. Case in point, Kenny Kunene, Sushi King.
okay, I don't know
Okay,
anything.
I'm glad you don't. Yeah, so when does it start, Gogi?
All right.
And courtship,
So
what does that look like?
sadly, the type of polygamy that exists currently, that's fashionable, so to speak, is when a man gets into or comes into wealth. I don't even want to say wealth, riches, because wealth would have existed even before he came here. So that would then define as well. So some riches, like upopile, and then all of a sudden. And also because men are wired that way. They have what we call a God complex. Like they just loku kakushaya. I don't know what causes that in them. I am yet to get a man that will make us understand what happens in their psyche for them to get there. But that type of polygamy ain't it. It's not it. That's not the truth. Because I'm failing to understand what is informing it. What's informing it? Because remember, what it takes to acquire, it will need to maintain and sustain.
So can I
So
ask?
if you got her by money, to maintain it will be money, to sustain it will be money. So if you get your
Yo.
step through that, then you must know, should you fall into a ditch, it's over.
Mm,
Because the premise of it was already wrong. The foundation is completely wrong.
mm.
And no, you don't start, and I will keep repeating this, Gogi. You don't start at jollaring with another woman's husband. And as a man, you don't go ebfebeni and recognize someone that you feel has a bigger bum, nicer boobs, perkier boobs, and now you're in it. And now being in it somehow informs that she should be umamncane. And I will keep going back. It is a spiritual space. So what spirit is informing that this person should come and join us and continue to build with us? Yena uzobuilda ngespirit sakhe sobufebe or, and I have a problem. So she's going to come in here and it's a spirit. Like we're going to be in trouble. The way ungena ngakhona tells a lot of what's going to happen thereafter. Your end point. And I keep saying, and I know it sounds derogatory to other men. That's not it. You know, even in Kemet Gogi, they say men will remain eternal children to because they have child behavior. So not sometimes, women have to be in the forefront, Gogi, of giving men guidance. When a man approaches you, you should be the one saying to him, you are not going to be the one that's going to make me disrespect another queen on my clock. You're not going to do that. You're not going to make me malfunction and embarrass my ancestors because of your lust. So this is the control and the that I say women have, but they have no clue. Zero.
No, Tawazako.
Sorry. The last question.
No, I know you're on fire now. We have Rasta Alien who just joined us, or a long live Wakanda. Wakanda. Kogi. I want to ask in general, right? So how does a relationship, I know for some people it's not a deal breaker, but for some it might be. And I think in general, it's a scar that we don't address, we don't talk enough about. Cheating. How does a marriage survive cheating from any party? Yeah.
Yo.
What are the steps? Is there step-by-step guide?
Yo. Follow the guide. No. Actually not, Gogi. It's sure. It's a very, very deep thing. It's like a what's that thing that they used to cut trees? That what saw?
I almost said jigsaw.
Not no. I
Hacksaw.
almost said to myself. So I thought maybe the data bundles are English. It's not way.
Totally fail. The hacksaw.
A jigsaw. Like, do you
Hacksaw.
understand? Thing? That's how deep that thing cuts,
Yeah.
and how rough it goes. And Gogi, it's caused by, I keep saying in when I do counseling to say there in our relationships we know how to talk, we don't know how to have conversation, and this is what causes people to find or to have the excuse to say, on the basis of this is why I'm deciding this. Why? Because we can't have honest conversations. I can't sit my partner down and say, for the last, I don't know, 3 months, so to speak, I've not been feeling our connection. Maybe that's why I'm absent sexually, because maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to figure this out. That's going to turn into a tornado. Immediately, the individual, because they don't know how to have the conversation, turns it on them. Or is it because you don't want me? Is it because now Jola knows Banbani? Is it no. That's not where it's at. So we miss it right there, Koki, because at that point, you're failing to address that. I'm saying there's something that has come up, and you're the perfect person for me to talk to about this. So when that happens, Koki, it's created by that gap of no communication. When there's no communication, assumptions are made. And with this funny language that we're using, they say assumptions are the mother of all, right?
Yeah.
Whenever anything is going to just go downhill, you start with an assumption. So you are assuming he doesn't care. You're assuming she doesn't find you attractive anymore. You're assuming. So that dent, Koki, when that thing has now happened, the amount of the insecurity it causes many don't make it. Many can say they've recovered. No,
Yeah.
it's a mask and a plaster that you have to create. It's not even available at the shops. It's your manufacturing plant that manufactures that plaster to cover that wound. And that wound has triggers, right? Because there's
Yeah.
certain things, certain behaviors, certain words that you were using around that time. Sorry, around that time when that thing was about to happen or was happening. And because you're human, you're going to talk or behave in that way at some other point. And then, boom, the trigger happens. That plaster, you need to now go into the innovation lab and go and create another one because this one no longer works. So I don't think it's something that we recover from as women because we are builders. We are the ones saying, I will protect this home even if I still have this pain. But as you always say, matriarchy, patriarchy, whatever, my nkgono used to say, how do I say that in English? Okay, used to say, because you're a woman, you are a dish, so you receive. Yeah, you receive. So yeah, you can receive many, right? Which starts to distort you. Because at no point, Gogi, must we get to a point of trying to think Tina no baba siafana. That thing must just leave the building. It just needs. We'll never be the same. And again, I want to say this. Can we also stop saying higher, lower? Yeah, because I'm above you. No, no, no. But Basadi, when you understand yourself as a feminine being and what you carry spiritually, you will understand why you can't be the one breaking this thing. I'm not saying the man should. Chances are he would because eternal children to women. But the onus, the more responsibility is placed on you. Modimo me.
Modimo mme. Galeboga Gogi. That was a lot. That's my patriarchy princess sister. But she understands her power as a woman too. Yeah, I love her so, but that
I
was
love you.
that was Tsholofelo Moagi, an advocate of plural or multi-relationship marriages. Tsholo, marriages. Um, Gogi, I think maybe you can share because I know in marriage, monogamous marriage, we have the pre-counselors again. So I think Gogi, your services are also quite needed. Yeah, ribe prepared for such. I think that's what goes into premarital marriage, premarital counseling. Yeah, marriage. So I think your services Gogi are necessary, to prepare her. Okay, polygamy, is it a thing that's mentioned? Is it a thing that's considered? Is it a, how's this couple gonna navigate this space? Because I think, like I'm saying, Hore, right now you are a rescue for a lot of women because Ubaba has stepped out. But I think we could have better prepared for that, before getting into such a union. So maybe you can share what people where people can find you, what the costs are, or how it works. Yeah, for I think you do couples counseling. I don't know if you do individually or if you do them one by one, but you do couples counseling. Also the pre-marital before you engage in that as well. She also has delicious khamere. So Gogi, over to you, and then we shall bala because we don't have any more questions from the comment section either.
All right. Yes, we do counseling, and I usually prefer to see the individual separately first and then them as a couple. Because at that point, I'm trying to establish, certain mindsets where the person is at in terms of their mind and if they're understanding fully where they're going or where they're trying to go. And if the other aspects of marriage they're ready for, and if they are deal breakers, then it's something that they should just not consider, because you'd rather not have it than to have it then have it break up, right? And in terms of costs, yes, they will be notified when they reach out as to how that works. And yes, my delicious kgemere, being SipSum Africa, was actually taught to me by my ex Matsali, which is a relationship we're going to go deep in at some point, to unravel certain things and probably just do away with the negative PR that relationship has received. And maybe that's why a lot of people are not receiving the blessings that they need in their unions, because you need that Ndlovukazi, you need her. Yes, some are not in their healthy feminine state, but when you are, you can rise above that.
Tsholofelo, Kogi, Tsholofelo. Yes. I'll put her details in the comment section. I think I already did, but I'll just check now. I'll put her details for those who are couples, or those who are considering the lifestyle, or those who have questions
Not
on.
lifestyle.
Sorry, I forgot what she said I must call it, but that way of life, that union, that type of union, we will put
Impilo
it here.
yobukhosi.
Impilo yobukhosi, bophelo ba bukhosi. But yes, I love her still, but we don't align on that. I will share her details though, for any premarital counseling or during counseling, or segnomamnani, or Ndlovukazi has stepped, whatever it is, she deals in that space. But from a spiritual point of view, even if you're a Christian, that's also fine. Even if you're religious, that's also fine, because she's dealt in those spaces too. But yeah, thank you, Gogi, with the works that you're doing. Even though some of us are not happy about it, but if it's restoring other people's homes, I can also get SipSum Africa, Kgemere, for your funerals, leisure, for Dash, for what else? For Slash. It's amazing at
Yeah,
Slash as
so
well.
restaurants.
Restaurants, yes. SipSum Africa. Eat and SipSum Africa, actually. That's the brand. And for those who will be joining us, we're having just a random live after this. So please just ask anything that you've been asking. If I didn't answer a question that you asked in a previous episode, please do ask. If you want to know how to use the cosmic pack, about the Pasla pack that you got, please just hop onto the live, just ask about that. But Uncle and my aunt, Raleboga, Uncle Jasineb, maybe life, Ibe Khoto, Ibe Khanya, Ibe Lesedi. And yes, one Africa of unity and never division. Marcos. Bye, Gogi. I
Right.
love you.
Love you.